The Big Lerf Podcast, talking LRF and more. Hello and welcome to the Big Lerf Podcast. I'm your host Ben Bassett and I've got with me Rich Salter.
Hello.
And Joe Mole.
Hello.
Hello guys. We're just here to talk about the Big Lerf Weekender 2022.
Experience.
Exactly, the third one we've done. And that's the second one we've recorded a podcast about. So
yes.
Yeah. So it's nice to compare to what we've done before and also just go through what our weekend was like and what the results were like as well. Because it was another success, so I think you guys will agree.
Yeah.
Really good. So I think we'll probably just talk about our weekend first and go through that. But we started in the usual sort of way, gathering ourselves up into the car. But this time we had Ollie with us, my brother.
Yeah, a fourth.
Yeah.
Big Lerfer.
Exactly, which is always a bit of a difficult one because with species hunting we never know, like adding another person is always a tricky one because it's got to wait longer at each marks. But with the nature of the Big Lerf Weekender, it's a little less competitive.
A bit more relaxed, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it worked quite well, didn't it?
It worked really well. Yeah. And having Ollie there driving and just packing into his car.
Yeah, it worked well.
It was really good.
Didn't have to worry about waiting with him either. He was on fire.
He was.
Yeah,
weirdly.
Very successful.
Yeah, and for some fish and also not, which is really funny. We'll talk about that in a bit. But I wish we had Ollie here actually to talk about those bits because it's very funny. But so we started off, we went down into Cornwall as we always do. That's sort of our default thing. We just look forward to it so much.
Yeah, that is, as we said before, it's our highlight, isn't it, of the fishing year, really.
Absolutely.
Cornwall is where it's at for species hunting and particularly species hunting marathons.
Definitely. Because I guess we know where to go. We know the spots. We've got to go to. We can also try different spots as well, which we did over the weekend. Not as much. We were a bit limited by the weather. Yeah. Because the weather was pretty difficult on the Friday and on the Sunday. But we did some different things, which was good. So, Joey, if you want to talk about where we went first.
Yeah, so we started off by heading down to Loo, which is our first pit stop.
It's a great little pit stop. It's not too far into Cornwall. It's got the Millpool there, which obviously is just a nice little species hotspot, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's proved to have more species in. It seems like every time we go, it seems to hold something extra.
True. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, so for the first, I guess we sort of ticked off the usual gobies. Yeah, there's blacks, giants. There's a rock in there, which Ollie had, which is really good to see. Yeah. Because we don't normally pick those ones out from there.
No, we don't.
So we picked that one out. But the sort of special catch really was Rich's, which is the one we were hoping were in there.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it when I put my post up on Facebook. If I hadn't caught it with my first cast, I probably wouldn't have bothered trying any longer because the wind was ripping up across the mill pond there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you sort of, the way you try and catch them with a split shot rig, sort of quite delicately presented, it seemed impossible, but I was lucky that one sort of snapped it up on the way down. Yeah. The wind almost created a nice little drift over the weed there.
Because it was really, really weedy. Obviously, it's been really hot, hasn't it? And when you've got shallow water, it's like a perfect sort of breeding environment for growth of this weed that was just blanked in the bottom.
Yeah,
making it really difficult to fish through. But you've got that little gillhead.
Yeah, so that was a nice little start.
Yeah.
Because I mean, every cast afterwards was just picking up that weed.
Yeah.
Along with not being able to feel what was going on because of the wind. So
yeah,
that was lucky.
Definitely. Nice. But that was a great start because obviously the whole point of the Big Lerf Weekender is this kind of joint species hunt where we're all trying to get as many different species as possible. Yeah. And I think that was, if I'm right in saying, that was the only gillhead caught over the weekend.
Well, might be. I've not thought about that actually. Yeah. I don't recall seeing any others.
No, that's what I think. So obviously that's the whole point of it, to try and get our species total as high as possible, and we succeeded in that. Obviously with the gillhead really early on. So that was great. But other than that, it was pretty naff really. I mean, it was hard going, wasn't it?
Yeah, even the little mullet didn't want to know, did they? Really? They. I
think Matt and Danny, who were there, of course. Shout out to them.
Always.
Yeah, and Jonnylerfer was there as well. It's just good to see them, but they were struggling, but they did better than us, didn't they, with the mullet?
Yeah, I think they did get a tiny one each, did they?
Yeah, I think
they pulled out a tiny mullet and then a tiny little smelt as well.
Yeah. I never even seen a little smelt in there either, which is crazy.
Smelt, that brings back some memories of the weekend.
Yeah, for Ollie, bless him. So then we went on to our digs, which I've gotten the less said about the better.
Oh no, I think we should talk about
man. I'm not sure whether we should name and shame, but it's a bad place. Okay, I'll say it this way. There's a place off the A30 near Bodmin, near a big lake. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
That's enough, isn't it?
That's enough. Just don't stay there. I booked it in high hopes of just having a bed that was relatively comfortable. And
to be honest, that part was true.
Oh, okay.
It was the rest around.
That's your review. That's good.
Yeah, the bed was comfy. It was cheap. But if you look further than that, it was.
It was the walls were very thin. It was very cold. It was full of spiders.
Very damp. Dirty.
It's dirty. It was
if you took a UV torch, you'd probably be horrified.
Can you imagine?
I don't think you would have stayed there.
And we're not fussy, are we?
No.
We've stayed in some places, and
that's the worst. I think I'm off accommodation booking duties now. I think I've been sacked because I messed up there badly. That's for sure. Don't stay there.
We learn.
Yeah, we live, we learn. I mean, lucky enough, we don't spend a lot of time there during these species hunts, do we? So,
no, this is true.
So we got there, got our stuff in, laughed about how terrible it was, and then headed down for a meet down Mevagissey.
Yes.
That's where we went next, right?
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and that was brilliant, actually.
Yeah, that was probably highlighted the weekend for me, actually. Yeah. Probably for a lot of people, I would say.
Yeah, because the social element, as we've talked about so many times on this podcast, is the best thing about LRF. I think it's just being able to fish side by side by people, and everyone knows to fish in a straight line, and you can just talk to each other.
Yeah,
it's just good crack. And I remember, we turned up, and I feared the worst, to be honest, because the wind was howling. But over the other side of it, if anyone's been to Mevagissey, it's got this outside arm, and that's where everyone was sort of crowded under, trying to avoid the wind that's going over the top of us. And then there's loads of featherers, loads of bait anglers, and it looked pretty bad.
It was pretty much shoulder to shoulder, wasn't it?
Yeah, that wall was full.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, this is terrible. We've got more anglers coming here. We've arranged a meet. It's going to be bad. But actually, we sort of snuck in and found our little ways in.
It almost worked to our advantage, didn't it? Because everyone was pushed together, and they were, the chat and the banter flowed, didn't it?
It did. And as sort of the bait anglers sort of got fed up and moved, we got more space.
Yeah.
But I think so. Will Pender turned up, as he often does, and caught a bream straight away.
Yeah, straight in there.
One of the first things he did was catch a black bream. So we knew black bream were there, which is great. And then, but I don't think any of us really were prepared for the amount of black bream that were there.
Yeah, they kept us busy for a good couple of hours, really, didn't they?
It was fantastic. And Joe, obviously, I think you'd never had one before.
No, so that was I've had the couches or cooches, and I've had the gill heads, but I've never had the black bream, so it took me a while. Everyone else seemed to pull them in. And,
that's the pressure though, isn't it?
Yeah, the pressure was on. I couldn't quite work out how to tap into them. But once you've done it, that's it. And
because they are small, finicky biters, but once you get them fired up, they do go on pretty quickly. I was using the snooted drop shot, which is my favourite way to get them, because you get a little bit more give in the bite, so they're not just immediately pulling on the line.
Yeah.
Which worked really well for me. I had a few good ones as well. So nothing massive. Obviously, they're all little baby black bream, but they put up a great scrap.
They did a good sport.
Yeah, and they're so obviously. And there was a few times where we were all casting out and we're all hooking up at very similar times. And that was really good fun.
Yeah, it was good. There was a few other species sort of in amongst that lot, wasn't there?
There were, yeah.
Made things interesting.
I mean, with my third or fourth cast, I dropped a coalfish.
As you do.
As I do. No, as I do, definitely, because that is one of my default things. I think I only had my first last year. I've had a few since, but there's something that weirdly are becoming more common, even though our waters are warming. Yeah. It's a strange one, but Mevagissey seems to be quite a good place to catch small ones, and I managed to pull one out later on, which I was really pleased with. That was my only. I think no one else got one, did they? Not down south anyway.
No.
So I was really pleased with that. So we had that. I think a few guys were sort of hooking up into garfish on the bigger gear, weren't they? In the
winds. Yeah, the odd one. Yeah,
I don't think any of us got one.
No,
not for lack of trying either. I think everyone fancied one, didn't they?
But I think they tend to come from like around the mouth of the harbour, and you just couldn't fish there.
We just pushed off it, weren't we? We did try, and
that wind was brutal.
Just the wind was cold as well.
That was quite a fun part of it. Actually, it was like as we're talking, like periodically, anglers would just go around and just have a little look around, think, I'll give it a go, and then they come back
very quickly,
being blasted by winds. You're like, horrible. So that was really funny. So Yeah, but Mevagissey was definitely one of my highlights of the weekends. One of my highlights of the year, really. I really enjoyed it. Just good, friendly fishing, good banter. And any other interesting catches from there?
Yeah, it was Tim and Matt, wasn't it? The pilchards.
Oh, of course, yeah. The pilchards, that was really cool. So when there's a guy chucking some feathers out, and he was catching them on the bottom there. So we knew they could be caught with with LRF tackle, and you hooked into one.
Oh, I did. I did.
And played it, like bullied it.
I tried to horse it in. And I don't know what I was thinking, but obviously, as it came to the wall, I put the hook pulled, and that was one off the tally for the weekend. Sadly, in the wrong direction.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they're one of those sort of fish that they turn up in their huge numbers when they're around, but they are actually quite tricky to attempt. They definitely like a very small profile though. They're not looking for anything too big, and I get them occasionally around Plymouth in the winter, but they're in big numbers off Mevagissey that day, and so Danny got one on drop shot, I think. Yeah,
I think he did. Yeah.
And or was it on metal?
His was on. I said Matt, didn't I? It was Danny, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Danny. Yeah.
It was on a metal.
And Tim got one on a drop shot.
Yes,
that's what it was. Yeah. So that was really good. So shout out to them because they did really well. That was some cool ones to add. So the pilchard, which if anywhere else in the world probably call it a sardine. So that's the same species though. So that was really good. Then we went on to, was it Charlestown?
Yeah.
Yeah, Charlestown, obviously reliable for flounder. Also for, I've always found it really reliable for pouting and whiting. That's an old Pender trick that is. He told me about that.
I think you were the only one who had whiting there though, were you?
I did. Yeah, I got lucky, but I've had it before where I was there. I think during the last CLF, where I was casting out really far out and got quite a few white in that way.
Oh, okay.
So I just copied that. So because we went there for weaver, and I was getting loads of little bites thinking they're weaver, and actually just loads of pouting.
Yeah.
Like loads of them. So that was quite. Yeah, so none of the sort of flatfish and stuff, but the conditions were more difficult.
We were losing the tide there as well, weren't we?
We were. So things weren't quite as good as they were on previous Fridays. I think we've had during Big Lerf.
No,
it was slightly tougher, but pulled out we had a nice triple header of flounder, didn't we?
Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, like it was like small, medium, and large.
Yeah,
Joe's, yours was the biggest. It was a proper old warrior of one. I think
it was. Yeah, unusual markings underneath the white head to it, and
been in there for a little while, I reckon.
Yeah, that's it. I reckon he's been caught so many times, that flounder.
Yeah,
but he's so fed up with it. He's like, I'll get chucked back in a minute. But that was really nice to get that. I think Ollie failed to get one there, which is unusual for him because he's actually normally really good at catching flounder. So that was quite interesting. And sort of for him, I think one of the things over the weekend was trying to target fish that were easy. Was the hardest thing for him.
Yeah, it's funny how it goes.
But like the harder ones were actually the ones he caught.
He got some real beauties.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So, and then we went on and spent the evening in Fowey, which is just our sort of favourite place to be on a Friday night in September.
That's what we do.
It's just a beautiful place to be, and I think it was the usual. So obviously scorps and obviously dragonets in the shallows, painted gobies. Obviously lots of like sort of focusing really, really hard in the shallows, which obviously is your absolute favourite thing in the world.
Oh, I love it, don't I? Yeah, absolutely massive.
Perfect for your eyesight.
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, it's a really lovely. I mean, you could not be fishing and really enjoy it. Like we saw a little red mullet and things.
Yeah, just going about their business, weren't they?
Yeah, it's a really interesting place. I mean, before that we were trying to go for scad, I think, and that was really difficult. There weren't really any around.
That was the part that sort of let us down a bit, really, from what we expect of Fowey, wasn't it?
You normally guaranteed some big scad there.
Big scad.
And bass.
Bass, usually quite a few mackerel, but they're all thin on the ground. I don't know if it was...
You got the mackerel, didn't you?
Yeah, I got my mackerel there. I did get a bass there.
Yeah, you did.
And then we were lucky to find a shoal of very small scad.
Very small scad.
Sort of get them
inch to 2 inch, weren't they?
Yeah, they were proper babies, weren't they? I was just mad that we had to resort to them to go towards our count, really. But there we go. It's obviously a species hunting. It doesn't really matter about the size. You just got to get them.
That's it. You get them when you can.
So that was really good. And so we went a bit further up. I had I was quite lucky. I got a shore rockling as well.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that. I'm pretty sure every species hunt you just pull out a shore rockling randomly from various locations.
For some reason, in Fowey, I've kind of worked out where they are now, and there's a few sort of gaps in the rock. I think with shore rockling, they really don't like the light, so having any sort of head torch on and things, they just completely avoid. They've got very sensitive eyes, so I kind of just like try and use my red light on my head torch. We'll talk about this later. But and then I try to find the spot, drop my lure into the hole, turn it off, and then obviously wait for the bite, which is what happened in that case.
Okay, so you find the specific hole where you believe they'll be.
I believe they'll be, yeah, because they like to hide in their little crevices and then they sort of ambush, in a similar way that conger eels do.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And then we had
That was very interesting.
Yeah. So I guess I'll tell the story, but so Ollie had been looking in the shallows, and then we're talking proper shallows. These are just a few inches of water, and he told us that there was a 15 spine stickleback, quite a big one, is up in the weeds. So me and you had a little look for it, Joe, didn't we?
Yeah, we went for a wander and just doing what we do, just looking in the shallows, weren't we? Looking, really straining to spot small fish, and which again makes the conger even more monstrous when you're looking for tiny inch-long fish and smaller. Yeah. And just this head was just sat there, wasn't it?
Yeah, out of the sand. It was like only about a foot in. So it couldn't have been more than like 6 inches underwater. Is what it felt like. It could have been more than that, but it wasn't deep at all. And there must have been like a little tunnel going in underneath the sand.
Yeah, it's strange.
And the conger was going sort of in and out of this, like poking his head out, and. Yeah, I thought I've got to give it a go. Yeah. So I put on my. Well, the last few times I've been hooked up to 2 conger this year, not including the one I'm just about to talk about, and both times have been on Esther line, so 1.5 pound line, and I've held on to it for quite a long time. But obviously every time it's been snapped off, as you would.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this time I thought I'll go bigger. So I was on 6 pound braid and 3 pounds fluoro.
Well there.
I know. I really stepped it up. In hindsight, I should have stepped it up more, but it was quite late at night, and I just thought maybe and it wasn't the biggest conger in the world. It wasn't like it's probably a couple of pound, maybe 3 pound, probably maybe bigger than that. I don't know. I never got to see him properly, but I thought I could get him out, and so I put on a little jig para jig head with a shirazu, and just put it in front of his nose. I think Richie came to have a little look at it, and he took it immediately, no hesitation.
He took it before I got there, actually.
Yeah, he just chomped straight onto it, didn't he?
That's it. He just immediately took it, and so I struck. Obviously, you got to strike early, you get bitten off. So I had the hooks perfectly in his lip, and obviously this battle just goes then. And obviously my rod. So I'm using the 10 gram rated Agi. Which one is it? It's a crossage travel. And that was literally bent in half.
Yeah.
And I'm trying not to. I'm really concerned about the line snapping, the braid, so the braid going, or the rod snapping. So I've got to try and angle it, and the only way I can do that is to get myself in the water. And so I'm literally facing back towards the beach, bending into this conger. And I did it for, I think we recorded it, didn't we? It was 4.5 minutes.
4.5 minutes of battling.
Yeah, and I nearly had him out. I literally had half him out, maybe a third of him out.
Yeah.
And eventually he just pulled back, and then I think it'd been the 3 pound leader had just been rubbed so much.
There's a lot of back and forth, wasn't there?
Yeah, it just, that was a bit heartbreaking. Yeah, but
exciting, though.
It was exciting. I was actually knackered after it. It was really a real adrenaline rush. Yeah, so that was really cool. But obviously, shame I lost it, obviously. But and then we just, I think we just carried on the night. So we had some good species, didn't we? The sort of painted gobies, some sand gobies in the shallows.
Little dragonettes.
Did you get a dragonet?
Not there, I didn't know.
Not there, no.
No.
So that was just sort of, and then we sort of tiring as we get to the end as we did it, and then I couldn't get a bass there, which really surprised me.
It's very unusual, isn't it?
Yeah. So that proved a bit of a tricky one for the rest of the weekend as well. So until the final day, second day. So what did we do then? Where did
we start?
Oh, that was down to the spot near Falmouth.
Yes. Yeah. A new one for us, wasn't it?
It was a new one, yeah. The second day was completely different conditions.
Beautiful weather.
Stunning, really.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. And I actually got a ridiculous sunglass tan on that day. Went down there. I think that was one of those ones where I think we fished it on the flood, it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Because it's a river, it's an estuary. We were going for bream. We were hoping to get some catches bream, really.
Yeah.
But we sort of missed out on that. Ollie got a common goby though, which is really cool. There's loads of those in the shallows.
Yeah, another one where I spent a frustrating amount of time trying and failing.
Yeah, but they are really small, those things.
Yeah,
really
and
tricky.
I mean, Ollie's eyesight is potentially better than yours, I would
It
say.
is better than
He
mine,
can
yeah.
pick a goby out of 20 yards, which is
Yeah.
quite something. So again, he was trying to guide me towards these gobies. There's a few near misses, but I don't enjoy that sort of fishing.
No, you don't, mate. That's fair enough. To be fair, microfishing is like a really sort of niche part of UK LRF.
I think it's quite a visual thing, and with my eyesight, I don't really get the best out of that. So
that's true.
It's kind of hit and hope, really.
It is, but you make up for it in other ways.
Well,
and I think you did that day as well. So we went from there. Joe, did you have anything there? I had a black goby.
No.
Yeah, it was quite tricky. I hooked up to a bass there, and that came off, and I thought, oh god, typical. See, one of my nemesis fish. And so then we went to Hale, and obviously Hale was brilliant as always. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Hale. I think we fished when they're pretty much at low, didn't we? And then fished it up in the flood.
Yeah, it was perfect, wasn't it? The way we did that.
And so obviously these spring tides, they really come in at Hale.
Yeah.
And we sort of picked off the usual wrasse species. Some. It started. This is where Ollie's battle with the smelt began.
Yeah.
So Ollie could not catch a smelt. Well, for love nor money, he just couldn't do it, could he?
No, and he
was
tried
so
hard.
funny. And you were picking them up for fun.
Well, I was just picking off in random spots, wasn't I? Not
Yeah.
intentionally. I think I had one or two at Fowey there, 3 or 4 locations. It was funny how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. See, to be fair, I couldn't get one there either.
No.
And which is weird because there were a big shoal just feeding. Joe got one.
Yeah, I had them as well.
You're obviously we picked off the rock gobies, the corkies, loads of corkies there, and obviously gold tinny and balance.
Yeah, it was
Balance
good
took me a while. I was really sort of struggling at that point. I think it was really. I really thought I was going to fail on the balance as well, but I got one of those. And then we decided to have a crack for a weaver.
Yeah, that was. Well, it's funny how that worked out, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a really strange thing. So obviously going down and to the tide was really flooding in, and you have to get right down onto the soft sand. That's where all the weavers are. And I just fluked one out. I got really lucky. It flicked off my hook, and I had to half pin it down into the weed and sort of scoop it onto my my card. So I go just take a picture of it.
They're not for the faint-hearted, are they?
No, you don't want to grab one of those with bare hands. They're not fun.
No.
But I got one of those. So I was really pleased with that. So I called Ollie because he was still trying for a smelt, I think, and he came down. So I said, "You need to come down and go for a weaver." And so he said, "Okay, I'll come down." He came down. I said, "I was just getting myself. I think what I was going for. I think I was going for smelt at the time." And I just look up, and I think first cast he got one, didn't he?
Literally
He
cast.
launched out. He's never caught a weaver, has he?
No.
And didn't really know what to he knew he had to get it on the bottom.
Yeah.
But he just whipped it out, and he was like, "Oh, weaver done."
Yeah,
he was off.
He just got it. So
Leaving me and Joe to flog away for the next. I don't know how long we were doing it for, but it was frustrating, wasn't it?
I ended up giving up in the end. Just couldn't connect.
it wasn't easy though.
No.
The tide was really whipping in.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't fluked that one out first and sort of drop in, I don't think I would have got one. It was really...
Yeah, it's very, very hit and miss.
Yeah.
Sort of a lot of guesswork with that, I think.
I think with those big tides, they don't benefit the really small predators like that.
No.
If you had a smaller tide, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
But obviously you got one as though, Rich?
Yeah, sort of just before I was about to give up, really.
Yeah.
Just kept moving up, kept trying to find little slacker areas and that. And I actually didn't even feel the bite in the end. I reeled in for... had enough really, and there it was. So
Nice.
It worked out nice.
Yeah. A little stingy.
Yeah.
But they can be really frustrating. In other times, when you're not trying to catch them, you'll catch millions.
Yeah, they can be.
They'll jump on any
can't they?
hook. They literally jump on big metals. But when you actually focus on them in a competition, nightmare.
Yeah, totally.
But in that time frame, it was all kicking off because you and Ollie had gone back.
Yeah, we'd gone back. Yeah,
so we get his smelt.
That's it. Well, I was going for the smelt, and I thought I needed a tom pot, I think, and a gold cinny. So I went up there and got both of those as the tide was flooding in. And as I sort of came around, I was fishing another spot. And Ollie shouted to me, he was like, "Ben, come here." So I came around, he goes, "Is this a red mullet?" And I was like, "Yes, it is." And I was like, "Oh my God." And obviously he's got this, this perfect little red mullet he's just caught on a drop shot, snooty drop shot it was, just fishing the current. And obviously
amazing.
Must have just gone past and just picked up his little bit of gold bison.
Yeah.
And Yeah, crazy, really crazy. So we got some photos of that, put it back. And actually went back quite strongly, actually, because they are quite delicate little fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was that went back quite strongly. And so then Ollie had to move the car, and so I was still going for my smelt, really desperate to catch one. And so I put on a little jig head in the Shirazi, and on the ester line, which I could fish through the current really nicely. And I sort of cast it out, and I sort of twitched it back, and I got a lovely hit mid-water. I thought, that's nice, that's probably a bass, you know? But it didn't have the proper head shaky, so it came up, and it was a little tub gurnard, and I was so happy.
Yeah, lovely.
Because I've never had one there before. And also, it's my first of the year, actually. I've had such a bad gurnard year.
It has been a slow gurnard year.
Yeah, one of my favourites. Yeah, well, as Joe would say.
Yeah, they have not been about as much this year.
No, exactly. So to get that one was a real boost. I think it put me on like 21 species at that point, which I was just like really pleased with. I think I was just hoping for 20 species over the weekend, because I thought with the conditions they're not quite as perfect as they normally were.
Yeah.
So that was really good. So then you guys came back, and I think we just fished on for a little bit, but then we headed off, didn't we? I think. What did we do? Oh yeah, that was to Falmouth, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and Falmouth proved to be really good fun. Difficult.
It was good. When we sort of probably expected it to be quiet, and then sort of flipped on its head, didn't it, when it got dark, when you'd expect to find all those species, and it just went really quiet, didn't it?
It did, yeah. We were kind of like really excited for it to switch on, but actually before that it was better.
Yeah, it was a really good evening session, I thought.
Yeah, I think it sort of coincided with you having a bit of a funk, Joe.
Yeah, I'd kind of hit my slump, and
happens to us all.
Couldn't find my groove, it just wasn't going right.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a few bits that came off the pier, wasn't there? And
yeah. So that was really cool. So obviously I think the first sort of couple of ones, I mean the first really good one for you was the couches, wasn't it?
Yeah, a surprise catch. Yeah, because I was...
Well, to be fair, okay, say surprise catch, I want to give you a little bit more credit, okay? Because you were saying to me, and I remember you casting out the Carolina rig out to the sort of, it's fairly clean ground out there, you can cast out off the end of the pier. And you were saying to me, it just feels like some bream or something will be passing through here. And I was like, yeah, I could see that. And then what'd you pull out?
There it was, Coach's bream, wasn't it?
Coach's bream. So that was really cool to see. And you also got a nice dragonette from there as well.
Yeah, within a couple of casts.
Yeah, a couple of casts alpha, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was the third of the bream species as well for me that weekend, so that was a nice little tick.
Yeah, it's a brilliant one. Yeah. Really good. Yeah, to get that sort of trifecta of bream was really good.
Yeah.
And you also, a really funny part actually was, because Ollie couldn't get a black goby to save his life.
Oh, yes.
And you were just winding him up. Like everywhere that Rich dropped it, he was pulling up a black goby.
Yeah, and I was like, they're down here, Ollie. And he'd go, all right, I'll come round, and I'll go over to another post, and I'm like, they're over here now, mate. It took it, but yeah, it was quite funny.
It was like one a drop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was getting them.
Yeah, so it took Ollie a little while, but he did get one in the end.
Yeah,
so he was really pleased with that. And he pulled out, I got a mackerel there, which was my only mackerel of the weekend, so that was really good.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we were talking to a chap, I don't know if he listens to the pod at all, but he was sort of talking about how it hasn't been fishing well, and it actually fished really well.
Yeah, it did.
So that was really good. And then Ollie just was casting out and brought in, he just let out this little squeal, I think. He was just so happy. And it was a little tiny grey gurnard.
Yeah, lovely little fish, that.
A little baby grey gurnard. It was so cute. Again, that was on the Sneely drop shot. He caught everything on the Sneely drop shot.
So effective, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. So that was really good. Got some nice photos of that one. Had it swimming in the tank. Because it was that small, we could fit it in a little viewing tank.
Yeah.
And it had space to swim.
Proper little cartoon fish, that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, massive eyes.
Yeah.
Little tiny body. They almost look like a lure. They kind of like...
They do, yeah.
Got the look about them. They are a really cool little fish. So, but the funniest part of it, really, because I caught squid.
Yes.
Which was a thing that was going to annoy us, really, because there were so many squid about. I didn't realise until it got dark.
Yeah.
The squid were everywhere. And so Houghton's one of those, which was my biggest squid ever, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
But I needed a smelt, so I went for the smelt, got myself a smelt out. I said, Ollie, the smelt here, he'll go for them. And he's proceeded to spend the next hour just trying to get these smelt out. They kept pulling on his lure, they're not going for it, so it's something small, they're not interested. It was just so frustrating. And every time he was getting them interested, the squid would come along and just batter into them.
Yeah.
It was really, really funny.
Yeah, that was his bogey fish for sure, wasn't it?
It really was. And he never got one, didn't get one in the whole
No, because it continued into the Sunday morning, didn't it? Yeah.
He just couldn't get one, which is really funny. But he was still he'd caught really cool fish like red mullet, grey gurnard.
Yeah, he fished really well. We caught some cracking fish.
Couldn't get a smell.
Couldn't get a smell.
No.
You always get one bogey fish.
Yeah.
That's
always.
the way it goes. And that was his first time doing it as well, so his first experience of the bogey fish phenomenon.
Yeah.
So I think we moved over to a different spot. I pulled out a common blenny there, so that was quite good.
Oh yeah.
And then I put out a nicer scad. I was like really pleased to get one of those.
Yeah, because they were thin on the ground, weren't
They
they?
were thin on the ground, yeah. Garfish, couldn't get one of those.
Got a poor cod there, didn't we?
Oh yeah.
They were very...
that was so funny. So I'm down on the steps, I'm going for these this poor cod. And so Rich comes over, says to me, I've heard this poor cod here. I said, yeah, there is. Don't you go stealing my poor cod. So he comes in, split shot rig, literally just pulls one out almost immediately. Obviously, I'm fishing like with a jig head. I just couldn't pull one out because they kept taking the tail and everything else.
Yeah.
So you pulled out one immediately. So I learnt my lesson, switched over to the split shot rig and got one straight away.
Yeah. Just tools for the job, innit?
It is, yeah, but they were really small.
Really small, yeah.
They are probably, I reckon, the most unremarkable looking fish.
Yeah.
I think if you were to say, like, what fish is going to really unimpress someone, I think a small poor cod.
They're quite aptly named, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, when they're bigger, they're lovely.
Yeah.
When they're sort of 6 inches or
it's
so.
nice to find them when they're that size, aren't they?
But when they're like 3 inches long, they are really a nothing looking fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They pretty much fall apart on your hand as well.
They do. You have to be so careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not one of my favourites to target.
No.
At that size, anyway.
Just get them done, move on.
Exactly. So me and Ollie had a bit of so Ollie is a really sort of calm, collected person. I've never seen him really flip out too much in his life. Obviously, I've known him his whole life, and we both went for going for bass. He really wanted a bass, and I had one snap me off. I had a huge bass hit me. I'd seen a couple in the shallows. I knew what sort of size they were, and he just shook his head and just snapped me off, which is annoying. So I thought, again, bass is not going to happen for me.
Yeah.
And Ollie had one, and on an easy shiner, and it came off right as we were about to net it, and he nearly threw his rod in the water.
Oh no!
I've never seen him like it before. He was like, he apologised afterwards. He's never been like it. It was so funny. I was like, species and gets to you.
It does.
Yeah, messes with your mind.
It really does.
Yeah. So what were you guys doing at this point?
I think I was laying on a bench.
You were down on those steps, and that drunk lad came and pestered you.
Yeah, so I couldn't find pouting or poor cod. They were my bogey fish, which again down here, getting for a pastime.
Yeah.
Finally found a tiny little poor cod, which was hanging around next to 2 velvet swimmers that were mating.
Yeah, they were big as well.
Yeah, big old crabs, and I've gone down to a split shot and I'm trying to winkle it out. And at that time, a group of lads have appeared, and they've obviously all been drinking, and they've leant over the side and noticed the crab, and one of them's like, I'm going to have that. So he comes just straight down the stairs, just barrels straight past me, just walks straight into the water and grabs the crab out of the water, and that was it. The poor cod was gone instantly, and that was my efforts gone then. So I was like,
that's the perils of Falmouth, mate.
Yes.
It's full of drunkards, it really is. Particularly at this sort of time of year, it's all the students are there and it gets a bit chaotic.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's entertaining, but
but not good for when you're after a poor cod.
No, and you're having a bit of a bad day.
Yes.
That wasn't good. So I think we called it fairly early then, didn't we? I think we figured that we weren't going to get much else, so we just thought we'd go and go back and try and hit sort of our other spot, early doors really.
Yeah.
So we got up as early as we could, got out of the terrible hotel we were staying in
as quickly
as we could, as in the terrible shower that we had. Just headed before breakfast or anything, just went straight to the mark. So Tim Howe was already down there.
Yeah, he'd had a few fish already, hadn't he?
Yeah, he'd done well, and so lovely little cove that we often fish, and I'll say it was really wanted tub gurnard. We're hoping for bonus bream.
Yeah.
Mackerel, garfish. That's what we're sort of hoping to be. Weirdly, we haven't. Well, I guess say weirdly. I mean, every time we do these competitions, it seems that garfish and mackerel can be really.
They do,
tricky.
yeah. They evade us, don't they?
Yeah. So, but for some reason, I don't know what it was, but Lady Luck was shining on me a little bit, and
you were straight in there, weren't you?
Yeah, I built up a decent tally. I was on like 25, I think, when I got there, and so I was already really happy with that. I thought I haven't had a garfish this year. Really want one, so casting out just jig parametal Magecraft, and I think I had one missed hit, and then I had another one, and I hooked up straight away into the garfish, which never happens.
No.
But I think as he brought up, I dropped it. He came off, and I had to like jump and stop him from going
scramble
into the
around after it.
Yeah, and they're crazy fish to try and hold. So we did manage to get that one. So I was absolutely over the moon with that. And then I don't know if it was before or after. I think then I had a bass straight away as well.
Yeah, because I stepped into your spot to try and get a guard, and you flipped the other side, and
well, I've had bass there before, flipping just a little, like you would for gurnard, just flicking a metal off the bottom.
Yeah.
And the bass tend to pick it up off the bottom like a gurnard would. And I got that. So I was like 27 species, absolutely over the moon with that. That's great. Let's go. So I just sort of chilled out then just watched you guys fish.
Yeah.
And it was really lovely actually. I really enjoyed it because I was able to give you guys a bit of stick. And also watch, you put in another Couch's bream, Rich.
Yeah.
Which I think is greedy.
I felt quite guilty about that because I was obviously fishing hard for a gurnard at the time.
Yeah.
And it was one time in my life where I probably wasn't as overjoyed as I should have been to see a Couch's come up. But I was, it's a lovely fish to have.
Yeah,
and
we got a nice little double pick of you and Ollie.
Yeah, because he had a nice little tub.
Yeah,
didn't he,
Ollie had the tub. And so you. Actually, I think those would have been Ollie's first gurnards as well because he's never had a gurnard before.
Oh, so he ticked off a lot.
He got
first,
two as well,
Weekend.
So, so you had the lovely picture of those two together. Obviously, Joe, you pulled out a couple of gurnards because that's just what you do.
Gurnard. Also had a garfish off the bottom fishing for the gurnard on a little shirasu or something like that.
You had two?
Yeah.
You had lost one and you hooked and you got one?
Literally just dragging the cheb along the floor and getting weird hits and garfish feeding off the floor. So
I would love to have just been able to watch that.
Yeah.
Watch a garfish go down instead of up because that's really unusual, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
And then Ollie hooked into a beastie mackerel.
Oh, that was a right old.
Yeah, and he desperately wanted it as well. I tried to net it a couple of times, but it just would not go, and it just came off, and he was devastated about that. So he was pushing hard to try and get some really good total, and he was he went, I think it was on like 23 something like that at that point, 24 maybe. Yeah, he did really well, but that was a real struggle for him. Any other species there? I think there was just kind of like a bit of a love. Again, it was nice with Tim to fish there. And
it was. Yeah,
a nice sort of social bit of banter and stuff, and
then
we went off and got some breakfast. We had I think we had a full breakfast. That was really nice.
Yeah, we needed that.
Yep.
And I just had a collection of pasties.
Yes. Well, you did, of course.
Yeah.
It was like a trio of pasties or something.
A double.
Yeah, double. Yeah. Of course.
Of course.
When in Rome.
Yes.
And then we went to Charlestown, and that was Ollie was able to pick off his flounder. Got the shannies. I think you guys got some shannies.
Yeah, I got shanny to make it 25 species.
Yeah, you'd gone off to the rocks, hadn't you? Got that and gone back for the flounder with Ben and Ollie. I had wandered off to the rocks in hopes of a scorp.
Yeah.
Couldn't find one. Was dotting around all these pools, and Ollie turns up, and I was like, he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm after scorps." I was like, "Keep finding shannies," and he was like, "Oh, I need a scorp," and he just wanders up to the pool, drops in. Immediately, just bang. He's like, "Oh, I've got my scorp." Just got it, took a photo, dropped it in, wandered off. He's like, "I'm going to go and get a smelt." So, which again sums up that weekend with him. He needed it, turned up, got it, moved on.
Could he get that smelt?
Because
Rich got smelt.
I found some more smelt, didn't I?
Yeah.
I was like,
smelt magnet.
Come over here.
He couldn't get one. Yeah, it was really funny. So that was I was knacked by this point. I just sort of laid down. I was just like, I'm done. And then we decided. Yeah, really unusually though, to give it one sort of different crack and do something a bit different, because the weather was turning a bit nasty on the coast. And I thought we'd give Bake Lakes a go and just go for some freshwater species. Yeah. Which is a bit different for us. It wasn't, I think we had high hopes and it just didn't really turn out that way.
Yeah, we envisioned it differently, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely. I think the commercial waters are like, they're kind of a double-edged sword really. The fish are very well fed and they kind of respond well to being fed. Yeah. And then if you bait up the areas, they can be really aggressive. But I think there's a different type of fishing to try and get them feeding on artificials, and I think we just couldn't quite work that out in the same way. I was pretty chuffed. I got a roach on a booty shake.
That was a good one.
I was really chuffed for that. What was Ollie call them? Sexy bum shakes. Sexy bum shakes. Yeah, sexy bum shakes. So, which I think he's a bit sold on now. But they're
he's ordered them now, hasn't he?
That's the magpie ones. They are really good. I like those.
Very good.
Yes, I got one of those. I was really pleased with that. Got the perch, and then we went up to try and fish for pike with permission from Robbie, who runs the place. And yeah, we couldn't find any pike. It was just not a chance of it, really.
No.
But Rich discovered a shoal of rudd, sorry. Just underneath your feet, really.
Yeah, by pure chance.
We're kind of coming to the end, weren't we? And just absolutely knackered.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of like just dropping it in.
All sat on the end of that pontoon, didn't we? And
just dropping it in below us like a rod. It was proper like kids fishing.
Yeah.
And just going for it. And turns out they love a bit of icing.
Yeah.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just putting that for fun, though.
You
really
were.
enjoyed that.
And that was number 30 for you, was it?
That was my 30th species, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was 30 species in a weekend. So that's my record. That's my best ever. Smashed it, knocked it out of the park, to be honest.
Yeah. Very impressive.
I think my best ever in saltwater is 26. So I did 27, so it was still record breaking without that bit. So it's just nice ones to. I don't maybe do as much fishing as I would like these days. So it's nice enough still.
Nice to step
still
back.
I've got it in me.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a personal level. But, so what were our totals we finished on? What was it?
I had 25 salt and 2 freshwater, so finished on 27.
Yeah, I think Ollie got 25 altogether, didn't he?
Yeah.
Joe?
I was lacking a bit this year. Struggled. Was on 19 this year. So
Joe's saving himself for the CLF. I think he's made that clear.
To be fair, he came second in CLF.
Yeah, that's his
that's where all my.
That's a serious competition. This is too friendly.
Yeah.
This is far too friendly. No, that's it's just one of those weekends. You just never know, do you, how it's going to go.
Literally.
But it was great. I really enjoyed it, and I think we just briefly sort of cover what happened in the sort of everyone else, really, because we have anglers from all over the world, like we did last time.
Yeah.
So if you want to kind of cover, so we had anglers from the USA.
Yeah.
Portugal, Bulgaria. Any others? Don't have any Greek guys got involved. Maybe not so much. We had a whole sort of competition dedicated to Ireland.
Yeah.
Which is really good. That was run by Southside Angling, and they sort of sponsored that, so that was really good. That was well received by the sounds of it.
It was, yeah.
I think they had some tough weather as well, so not so good. So I think we finished on, overall across the world, 108 different species.
Did that include the rock hook? Because I know we had a late query on that.
But I also think we had one that I double counted.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's 108
is correct, yeah.
It's pretty hard when you're trying to total all these things up.
Yeah,
so, 108 different species, I think. And so that was... So between us, the three of us, we got 35 species. And then... No, that's including Ollie, sorry. 35 because of red mullet. Very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, UK and Ireland saltwater was 48 species. We got freshwater was 19 in the UK, and international was 49 species.
Very impressive.
Yeah, so well done, guys. I mean, I think we had a bit more. Some anglers from obviously we had Alex Dunas from Greece who couldn't take part this year.
Yeah.
We had a couple of anglers from the USA couldn't take part. So the numbers international were a little bit less.
Yeah, a little bit lower, weren't they?
But that still is. I mean, I think probably had more entrants from the UK this time, and it was really good.
Yeah, I think I felt like the UK side of it was definitely good. Picked up from last year. And,
I was just really, really pleased with that. And I think so. We had the coolest catch winner was actually turned out to be Ollie. I think he ran away with it, didn't he?
Yeah.
The red mullet.
Was
that's fair play.
Worthy
But
winner.
Absolutely wanted to mention Max Goodwin because he's so good at catching cool fish.
He's a freshwater master, isn't he?
He really is.
Yeah.
That's he's Tenego Max now. I think he's selling some Tenego stuff. A little show for him, but he's caught a crucian carp on a Magecraft Nano Agi.
Yeah.
Which is just phenomenal.
That's hell of a catch.
That's incredible. So fair play to you, mate. That is a really cool one. Any other good ones? So there's a couple of gold cities caught on metals as well, so that was good to see.
Yeah.
So the most species caught fresh salt water, so that's Matt Barnsley, one with 30 species.
Yeah.
So he matched me. Very, very good. His freshwater expertise though is so good.
Yeah, he just went. So obviously did the weekend, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then went off and bumped off quite a
5
few
species.
fresh.
I think he did.
Yeah. And on the Sunday afternoon, I think.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing, didn't he?
Yeah.
He was. It was well deserved, that one.
It's good to see Matt win actually because he's put a lot of effort into the species hunts over the last few years, hasn't he? And very committed. So
really
well
good.
deserved that is.
Ollie came second with 25 species. Danny Hill came third with 20 species. Good shout out for Ben Coleman So he got 19 species, and he was fishing mostly freshwater.
And up north.
So fair play to you, mate. The junior species, so Will Birch, who won the Big Lerf fundraiser, through the fish off, got 18 species.
Yeah, he's...
So well done, mate. Tom Barron, who's again his new mate, who he battled against, got 15 species. So again, that's really, really good. Archie Shawcross came third with 12 species. So
really good.
So good. Pool. We love seeing the juniors get involved.
We do.
Most species on hard lures. Now we need to talk about this. Okay.
We do.
We are not happy with you guys.
What's going on?
Okay. We set up these things, all right, and no one's going for them. Okay, so we had Chris Hunter, fair play to you, mate, mackerel, bass, pollock, garfish, and scad, all on metals. So well done to me, but you know we got to see a bit more effort.
The rest of you.
If I was taking part in this, if I wasn't the one running it, or with you two, my main goal would be going for the metals, going for the hard lure. It's so little people go for it that the number's so low. It's just an easy prize. It's an easy win. I would absolutely go for that one. So I want to see more of you do that. It's cool to see fish on metals and on hard lures. So
and it is trickier, but
it's a satisfying catch, isn't it?
Exactly. We want to see a bit more of that, guys. So certainly in the fundraiser and the weekender when it's a category. I don't know if we can add it through a category for the Winter League. We'll have a look at that, but it's definitely something we want to see a bit of focus on, guys. So
more metals.
Joe's spoken.
Definitely. So just running through the international coolest catch. It was great to see actually this because the winner was stickyricegoesfishing. That's his name on Instagram. He got his buffalo sculpin, which is a picture of his daughters in that as well.
Yeah, great photo.
It's a great photo, and I love those buffalo sculpins because they're like a juiced up long spine sculp.
Yeah, they are.
From the UK.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, I love those fish. I think we've talked about him enough times on here, but really, really like his catches and what he does with his. And he's taking part every single time.
Yeah, he's always got involved.
Great to have him on board. International Coolish Catch Junior. So we had, it was Tulio Edmonds, yellowtail snapper, that one. So that was really good. So that's actually Manuel Edmonds from is it Martinique that he lives? Something like that. So he took part. It's his son that won that.
The reelies on
the reelies
Insta, isn't it?
Instagram. So that was really good. So keep on that one. The Island Coolest Catch. The winner for that one, that was of course, it's the Shore Rockland, wasn't it?
Oh yeah,
and
it was on a red one.
A really red one, and it was on a pink, like baby squid.
Yeah.
So it looked really cool as well. So that was David. Is it Agilvy? Yeah, something. My apologies, David, if I've just completely butchered your name, as I usually do. And he also won the Island Most Species caught in fresh and salt with 20 species. So. Well done, mate.
Yeah, very nicely done.
Yeah, and it was Joe's Velos, who... The noise of that, by the way, is Richard taking some Cavonia, try and kick tickly cough, which you can hear in the background.
No.
Because he's dying.
His guts up.
He's dying. I can still hear him on this. Thanks for that, Rich. So Joe's Velos, he won the junior most species, so that's great. And we were just really, really impressed with everybody, so thank you so much for getting involved. So I think we'll just cut it there. We've already waffled on too much. But it's been great to have involved, so thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Until the next one. The Big Lerf Podcast, talking LRF and more.